Slice of life video in the Nutnfancy family. You are looking at Mrs. Nutnfancy's finger. And she cut it pretty deep tonight. Not with a knife. Actually with this. A craft cutter. Yep, she rolled pretty much right through her index finger with this sucker. Any other details I'm missing there, hon?
No.
She's making a really cute pillowcase out of it.
Can you believe a craft cutter? Anyways, her fabric's back there, and she came up to me and she said, yeah, I'm cut pretty deep. So I'm going to show you what Doodle and I have been doing to take care of the wound. You're looking at about, I don't know, an hour and a half after all the bleeding. I'll roll a picture in right now what it looked like as we first got it. First priority, of course, like I said, my level 2 first aid kit review several years ago is stopping the bleeding. And with her, it's kind of complicated. You guys didn't know this, but Mrs. Nutnfancy has been on blood thinners for the last decade or so. She has I don't know, what do you call it, a condition called anticardiolipid syndrome.
Antiphospholipid antibody syndrome.
There you go. I always get it wrong. That's what she has. It was manifested in pregnancy with one of our kids, and so she doesn't stroke out. She's been on blood thinners. That's important to know because when she bleeds, she really bleeds. And so when we address this, direct pressure first, that's what Doodle and I did. We just put pressure on it, elevated the wound above her heart level, and then we waited it out and see if it would clot on its own then, and we actually got lucky it did. So we're about an hour and a half from the cut, and now we've had about 2 dressings since then. The first one she filled with blood. The second one half filled with blood, and this is the third that we're taking off now. Now we're going to dress the wound proper like. We haven't cleansed it other than I shot a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, not into the wound, but on the exterior of it, and it's also bled out pretty good. We didn't put an adaptic on it because we want it to clot, and so in doctors and paramedics watching this, I'm peeling this off real slow because I don't want to restart the bleeding. Doctors and paramedics will weigh in probably. It clots best with this gauze, not the adaptic. And actually we haven't tried it and I remembered, oh, you can't do that. It's got to be gauze. So here we are. It's cut probably, I would say, a good ½ inch into her finger. Now as Doodle and I evaluated it, we don't think she needs stitches, and here's why. Because, and I'm going to just put this on low, Doodle, tell me if it's too much for the camera. That way they can see it. Because it's a flap. That's how I evaluate it. So in my mind, what stitches are trying to do is create some structure for the healing. And so if the skin's pulled together like you can see that it is already, I think we're good to go. How's that coming? Can you see?
Just when you show under.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is cleanse it, or I should say kill all the cooties on it with betadine. And then I'm going to try to put some steri-strips on there to close the wound. So here we go.
Sweet, right up to my finger now.
Yep.
Which haven't been done for 4 weeks.
Ask Mrs. Nutnfancy how fast I ripped out the level 2 first aid kit when she came to me.
Pretty quick.
Like within 10 seconds. It's under our sink, one of them is, and so I just tore it out. And that's what I do, is I'll always pull it out of the level 2 first aid, in this case level 2 since we're at the house. Does that hurt, hon?
Yep.
Okay. I won't do much more than that. Way bad, hon?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Steri-strips are right here. Sanitized tweezers right here. I'm not a medical expert, but I got good common sense, as you guys know. And all we're trying to do is pull. I got to dry it first because it's still wet from the betadine. I was thinking about cleansing it with antibacterial soap and water, but I don't want it to open up. Since it's got a good closure going on right there, I don't want to start bleeding again. Okay, again, sanitized, so here comes a steri-strip, and these look to be a little bit too long. So with my sanitized scissors, I want to cut it a bit shorter, right about there. I'm going to use this gauze to dry it so it will adhere good. Just going to kind of tamp it. How you doing there, hon?
Good.
Okay, these hurt. If you guys have ever had a deep cut on your finger, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The reason we're showing you this is kind of showing you how we handle wounds in our family. We don't immediately jump to the doctor unless we need to, and we're kind of self-contained. And then Doodle's an EMT too, so I'm using his expertise as we bounce off, you know, do we take her in, get stitches? I'm still with that. How about you, Doodle? That I think it'll heal up pretty nice. Okay, here we go. Hopefully that's dry enough. Okay, so you can see the cut is right here, so I'm going to pull this. I might be able to get away with just one there. See if I can get good adhesion with that. I was thinking about using Tegaderm on that, but her fingers are so small. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of tension to close it just a little bit right about there. What do you think, Doodle? Another one? That's the main one right there. I could run another one right up
Looks
on
like
top.
it's mostly closed up though.
Let me run just a little mini one right up here. Then we're going to wrap it. She's going to have to keep this wound dry, out of the water, so as not to introduce more bacteria into the wound. We're going to redress it again tomorrow, probably. And some will say you ought to just leave the dressing on and let it do its business. The only thing is that I'm thinking about right now is I don't know if I got a good wound cleansing in there, and I don't want to do it right now because other than what I did initially, it did flush itself out pretty good. And we did put hydrogen peroxide on the the exterior of the wound. Now some guys say, well, don't use hydrogen peroxide because it damages flesh. I know. But I think it's kind of to such a minor degree the way I'm using it that it's not a factor. Alright. Then I think I'm just going to use some roll gauze here. By the way, I pride myself on my wound dressing capability. I did take yours off though, Doodle. You did a great job. That one, we didn't show it on camera, but Doodle did an awesome job wrapping it up. Okie doke. How's that feel there, hon? Okay?
Yep.
And when I wrap this, I don't want to wrap it too tight. Just enough for some slight compression is what I want to do. I think we should put some Neo on the exterior of that.
Not yet.
Because that kind of impedes that crusting over that we want.
It's feeling better actually.
Is it?
With
Good.
the strips pulled together.
Awesome.
Cool. I don't want to give her a huge fat finger here, so that's about all I want.
And voice of experience for those of you who wrap stuff, a lot of times you'll wrap it too tight when you start out, and people will tend to tell you that it's not wrapped tight enough. You'll start wrapping it and they'll say, no, it's fine, and then you'll check in with them half an hour later and they can't feel a thing. Keep that in mind. You want it to be snug, but there is such a thing as too snug, and most novices hit there.
Roger that. Good point.
I seem to still do it.
Hey, and actually, just like anything, first aid is a skill, and if you practice it a lot, you get good at it. I've done it enough in my life. Again, I'm not the expert in it. Enough that I can kind of remember some things, and there's things I forget, like I was telling you, the adaptic. I put that on initially, and then it finally clued in on me. I can't run an adaptic on it yet. It's got to clot and stop bleeding first. Okay, now she's got I want to keep that from sliding off, so I'll probably put just one going around the base of the bandage there so it doesn't come off. Slightly snug is what I would call this. Slightly snug. Not too much. And then we're really going to watch the wound. If we see red coming through, we know she started to bleed again, and we're going to have to go reevaluate. Doodle and I say, I mean, looking at this, no stitches. I don't know what stitches could do for her. Do you? Mm-hmm. What are they going to change?
Up.
It's already closed. It's
Yeah.
when you're filleted open, you need to pull that skin together, you need to stitch. Yeah. It's already together, and that steri-strip does it.
The steri-strips are awesome. I used to use steri-strips all the time down there.
They rock.
Oh yeah.
Tegaderm later on, perhaps, but not right now because we want to pull that skin together and just watch for bleeding. There you go. Mrs. Nutnfancy totally thrashing herself tonight. Yep. Show her face real quick.
No,
Nope.
super smart.
Okay, guys, this is the Nutnfancy family dealing with first aid in the house. Thanks for watching. We'll give you an update as she heals and tell you how it went. Thanks for watching.